In this video, we're going to explore the user management function, which lives on the web application. So here we have just logged into the web application. We're using the training system, so that's why the background is pink. User management is typically only going to be the function of the administrator for your company. So after you've logged in, we're going to scroll down to the miscellaneous area and click onto users. What you see here is that the bottom half is a table that shows the existing users in the system, their username, first, last name, and their email address. I encourage you to use an email address for each user, and each user does absolutely require their own login ID. You don't want to share login IDs between your users. If you have a lot of users, then you can filter by name. So if I start typing my name, then the system responds to filter down to only users that contain what I've typed. I can just press escape right here to clear that filter and go back to the full list. Let's go ahead and click on this user, and that brings us into edit mode on the user. So up here at the top we have the username field, first and last name. If you want to set a new password for the user, you would type it here. Here's the user's email address, and then down below is one of the critical parts of the user system, and that is the concept of privileges. The HatcheryManager.com system has a number of privileges that you can grant or deny to any user that allows very fine-grained control over what a particular user can do throughout the system. So for example, this user here is allowed to log into the BIRDS program, but they're not allowed to use this order allocation function. So as we scroll down here, you see the various privileges that this particular user has. So if you needed to add a privilege to the user, you would simply click, you can either click the name like this, or you can click the box, either one. And after you've checked all the privileges, most of these are self-explanatory given the name of the privilege and the description. Once you've made all the changes you want to, either in the privileges at the bottom or in this information up at the top, then you just click Save. You'll get a little confirmation that changes were saved and that its change is permanent, and those things are immediately effective. If you wanted to get back to the list of users, you can either click Cancel, that will take you to the list, or you can go back to the top up here and click on users that way. Now, if you needed to create a new user, and most companies will need to create users at some point, you'll click this Create New User button, and you can fill in the username, and a new password. And when you create a new user like this, that user will have to change their password the first time they log in, whether it's one of the desktop programs or this web application. You always want to enter an email address. Now here's a feature that you're going to find very useful. If this new user needs the exact same privileges or close to the same privileges as another user, then we're going to use this copy privileges function. So first we're going to select the person we want to copy from. We'll copy from user 2. Now there are two options: to either append to the current privileges or to replace the current set. So append would add to the user's current privileges but not take any away. If you use replace current, that will take away all of their privileges and only give the privileges that user 2 has. Since this is a brand new user, it doesn't matter which one we choose. We'll go ahead and choose append. And when we click copy privileges, you can see that those privileges have been copied here, but they have not yet been saved. So we need to make sure we go down and save those changes. Now that user is done, and he or she can immediately log on. Now there's one more feature that's kind of useful. Back in the listing, if you click this Show Privileges link, then what it's going to do is next to the username, the user information, it's going to have one column for each privilege that can be granted. And the reason you might want to use this is if you're not going to copy the entire privileges, but you need just to do some of them, then you can scroll across here and edit these privileges right here in the table. You get a little OK when it's been changed, just as a confirmation. Now, one more feature that you can use here when you've expanded these privileges, if you click on a couple of these headers, see that turn black, that means you selected them. Now we can go back over here and hide the privileges that are not selected. So this lets you focus in on a particular set of privileges that you want to view and change how those privileges are allocated. And that is the end of this video. Thanks for listening.